So good morning all. Welcome to the, what are we now, March Swansea Business Power Hour. It feels like only a couple of days ago that I was sitting here welcoming you to the August one, but time moves on very quickly. So the idea behind these sessions is that it's as the title suggests, it's a business power hour. So the idea behind it is that we give you a business briefing on a really important business topic, but we do this in a short, sharp and concise manner. So I'll start off doing the thing that I always forget to do in these sessions, that's introduce myself. So my name is Matt Callaghan. I'm an Economic Development Officer at Swansea Council. I've been in post for about a year or so, and I've been brought in specifically with the task of making sure that the council is engaging in a better manner with local businesses. And that takes on a number of different facets, really. You will have seen all the regeneration that's going on in and around Swansea at the moment, not least of all the arena, which I went to for the first time last week at the City Centre conference. Really impressive stuff. But having all these landmark projects is exciting, and obviously it's really good news. But I think there was a realisation as a council we need to be doing a far better job at engaging with businesses. And that takes a couple of functions, really. That's firstly providing businesses directly with business support services, of which this is an example, but also making sure that businesses are tapped into and engaged with the various support that's in place from our business support partners. Business Wales being the obvious one, but there are numerous other ones as well. And we identified that many businesses were not aware of or didn't know how to access that support available to them. So along with my colleague Steve, we've been brought in to make sure that business engagement and businesses accessing the local support is far better than that current provision looks like. So what I'll do is that we'll go around the room in terms of getting you to introduce yourselves, a little bit about yourselves, about your business and what's brought you here this morning. We'll then hand over to Sarah, who will do her presentation, and there'll be plenty of time for question and answers discussion at the end. Just a couple of housekeeping things before we get started. Firstly, just to remind you, I'm sure you're used to this after 2 years, but just to keep your microphones on mute whilst the speaker is speaking, just to avoid any background noise. If we can keep questions until the end, and there's two ways to do that. You can either put them in the chat whilst the presentation is ongoing, or the alternative is that you could just make a note of them and ask them at the end, just to sort of save interrupting the flow of the presentation. And the final thing is just to make you aware of and or remind you that this session is being recorded. And there's two reasons for mentioning that. Firstly, if you don't want your face to appear on camera at any point, just to turn your camera off, because this will be uploaded onto our YouTube channel probably Monday, and will be available online for people to watch later. And secondly, on that point, if you don't get anything down or you miss a point, it will be available on our YouTube channel to go back and watch at a later date. Just on that, our YouTube channel has recorded all of these sessions and all of our startup enterprise club sessions. So what we have now is an ever-growing library of resources on there. We've done cybersecurity, we've done accessing grant funding, we've done social media, website management. There's a list of about 15 to 20 different sessions on there now. So I'd recommend at some point you go back and have a look at that really useful library of resources. So there's a couple of us here, so I'll just hand around the room. Now it says Megan on there. I don't know whether you're Megan or not, but if I could ask you to introduce yourself, and if you're not Megan, maybe tell us who you are.
Yeah, sorry, I've signed on as my daughter with the team. So my name's Simon Fenton, and I run Gower Adventures, and we're sort of based in the Gower, taking people climbing, canoeing, caving, and mountain walking. We do sort of Duke of Edinburgh Award and work with another centre on Gower as well. Okay. So we've been around for about 8 years. So we were just trying to find a bit more out about sort of accounting and what we could do slightly different to make it a bit easier. So we haven't really got anything that's online at the moment. It's just on the computer. Okay. Finding a different way perhaps that might work a bit better, or whether it might be too complicated, and whether it's easier to do what we're doing at the moment.
Okay, so coming into a busy time of year now, is that right?
Yeah, it is actually, yeah.
Great.
We've been quite a lot of planning, and then hopefully this year we've got quite a lot of work. Hopefully this year will run really, really well, but we're still sort of hanging back a bit and not doing too much, but just enough to make the business work and not have too many bookings that we might have to then change.
Okay, so in terms of your accounting, you've got no form of cloud accounting at the moment. It's all managed.
No, that's right. Yeah.
There we are. Good. Good. Well, welcome along. So we'll come back for your chance to ask any specific questions later on. And then we've got Janelle, it says on here. Janelle, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, yes, I'm Janelle Bentley and I'm Assistant Director at Swansea CVS, so in the voluntary sector. And this interests me because we've spent the past, well, almost 6 months going through the process of identifying a suitable cloud package for our accounting system. And we've been going through the process of learning that new system that's been chosen and setting that up. It's due to go live from the 1st of April for our next financial year. I'm not sure, now that I've seen all the bare bones of this system, I'm not sure I actually chose the right one. So I'm interested to see what other options are available or would have been available. Obviously, I am stuck with the system we chose, which was iPlicit for the first 12 months. So.
Great. Okay, well, hopefully we can provide some answers, and by the end of this hour, you'll know whether indeed you have indeed chosen the wrong package, or maybe it'll prove that you've chosen the right one. So we can cover that at the end. Okay, so Sarah, welcome. Many thanks for taking this session. I'll hand across to you. I think you've got a short presentation, and I say we can open up for discussion after that. So across to you then, Sarah. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. My name is Sarah Dennis. I'm a director at Bevan Buckland LLP Accountants. I've been there quite some time now. I'm not going to tell you how long because it makes me feel old. But we're a well-established firm. We've been around for over 100 years now. And we're actually the largest independent accountancy firm in Wales. So we should know what we're talking about, hopefully. I'm going to share my presentation with you. Hopefully it will work. There we are.
Yep, I can see that. Yep.
Brilliant. So I thought I'd start the session by giving you a little bit of background on Making Tax Digital, because it does have an important consideration on what software or cloud accounting software that you're going to choose. So HMRC have been talking about Making Tax Digital since 2015. There've been quite a lot of delays with it because the software wasn't ready. Obviously, we've had Brexit and obviously now the pandemic as well. So every year it's been put back and put back. But basically, all it's about is plans to get small businesses and the self-employed to complete digital records and digital tax returns. And the aim for HMRC really is to get real-time information from taxpayers. So they want us to use functional compatible software and cloud accounting programs, and also compatible software programs that will effectively connect to HMRC's computing system. HMRC have been phasing this in since 2015. So in 2015, they set up the personal tax account, which is a great system. So I can only advise you to go in and set up your personal tax account. You go onto HMRC's website and set up a login. And then once you're in, you can see all of your personal tax records for the last 4 years. And it also gives you your national insurance payments as well. So you can see if there's a gap in your national insurance payments, because that's quite important. It obviously goes towards your state pension. And I did set up a personal tax account actually when it first came out for my husband, because he had a national insurance issue. He had a gap in his NI. So I went in, I could see which years it applied to, and I could then send HMRC his payslips for those years to show that there wasn't a gap. So it's always good to check these things out. And then in April 2019, they brought in Making Tax Digital for all VAT registered businesses with a turnover of over 85,000. So they expected then all of those businesses to submit their VAT returns digitally. And then from this April, all VAT registered businesses will need to prepare their VAT returns and submit them digitally through an accounting package, or you still can do VAT returns through Excel, but you need a bridging software that will talk to HMRC systems. And there are a couple of those out there. We use Vital Tax, but there are a couple of others out there as well. So from April 2024, Making Tax Digital will apply to all taxpayers who do a self-assessment tax return. And this will apply for businesses and property income, for businesses with property income as well, for over £10,000. And HMRC expecting taxpayers to prepare an income and expenditure account, and this needs to be done quarterly. And then from that, HMRC will calculate the tax liability on the profits and let you know what the tax liability is quarterly. So I think overall that may be a good thing for taxpayers, because they'll know what their tax liability is throughout the year, and they can pay it and stay on top of it, rather than potentially having one big tax liability at the end of the year. So effectively, this will get rid of the annual tax return. So we'll have 4 quarterly tax returns to do, and then one at the end, which will be a final tax return, which will include any annual adjustments then, because you normally do a stock take and things like that at the end of the year. So you can include that in the final tax return. So that's sort of a brief outlay on Making Tax Digital, and it will impact what cloud accounting package that you choose. So I'll go on then. I've done some reasons for using cloud-based accounting software. So from my perspective, the best thing about cloud accounting software is wherever I am, as long as I've got internet access, I can log on and I can help my clients. So if they've got a problem on their software, whether it's Xero, QuickBooks, FreeBooks, anything like that, I can just log in and sort out the problem in real time. So they're not having to wait until the end of the year with, you know, if they've got desktop packages. For my clients as well, it's great because they get real, real-time, up-to-date information as well. So as long as they've got everything in there up to date, they can go in, they can see their bank balance, they can see what entries are due to come out of their bank that haven't necessarily hit their bank yet. They can see who owes them money, they can see who they owe money to. So all of that information will come up on the dashboard. So it's quite easy. You know, if you don't have much time, you can just log on and it's all there. It's quite simple to get that information. Again, you can access your finances anywhere you are around the world. I've got clients that take their laptops on holiday. As long as you've got an internet connection, you can access it. So my analogy is it's a little bit like Netflix, but not as entertaining. And I mean that the reason is you pay a monthly subscription for it. And as long as you've got the internet, you can use it anywhere. Online accounting does save time with automation. You can automate a lot of the entries if they're recurring entries, so that saves a lot of time. You don't need to install it because it's online, so that's quite easy. All of the accounting packages give you tech support, so if you've ever got a problem, the tech support is normally 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you've got to invite them in to be able to help you, because it's you Adigda effectively, and security is quite important. So as long as you give them access, they can help you. And obviously it helps completely decluttering your office from paper, because you can upload all of your invoices into the software, and HMRC are quite happy with that. So you can get rid of quite a bit of your paper as well. And obviously then, as we've just touched on, HMRC have brought in Making Tax Digital. So at some point by 2024, everybody is going to have to look at the way that they're doing things and try and do them digitally. Okay, so why does my business need this accounting software? So the accounting software will help you keep track of your finances. It's easy to generate reports in the software, so you can pull up a profit and loss account. You just put the dates in that you want. You could do it by month, by quarter, annually, and it'll give you all of that information, obviously providing that you've put everything in there. So you can see how well your business is doing. It's much more accurate to use this software as well. It does stop transposition errors, and behind the scenes it'll do the double entry for you. So if you've got something coming out of the bank, providing you've posted it to the correct nominal code, so if it's a telephone bill, you've put it to telephone, it'll do that double entry for you, so it'll credit the bank and debit your telephone expense for you. They're quite user-friendly as well. Providing you've got the internet, you can use these cloud accounting packages on any device. You can use them on PCs, tablets, and most of them have got mobile apps as well. One of my clients is actually a plumber, and he comes around to my house to service the boiler, and literally I'll say to him, how much do I owe you? And we've set him up on QuickBooks, so he'll bring up his QuickBooks app, he'll quickly do the invoice and email it to me, and then when I sit down in the evening I can pull the invoice up. If I'm happy with it, it'll have a pay function on it, so I click on the pay button, and then I can just put in my card details and I can pay him there and then on the dot, really, so he gets his money straight away. And he absolutely loves that because it cuts down on all the paperwork he's got to do at the end of the month. You can invite your accountant in, which is the bit that I like, because I can see what's going on throughout the year. I can advise my clients, and if there's any queries, I can sort them out. I can just log in. And it's much more efficient than a desktop package in that respect. You can also automate things. So if you've got recurring transactions, so if you've got, I don't know, an insurance payment that goes out every single month with a bank account and it's the same amount every month, you can automate it so that will go, the transaction will be made every single month on your accounting software, so you don't have to enter it every single month. So that's quite good. So it does cut down on a lot of time for businesses. So I've put some disadvantage of using cloud-based accounting software here. And I'm going to say they're not really disadvantages, but it's things that you need to think about. As mentioned, you do need the internet to be able to use these packages. So if you're thinking of going on holiday and taking your laptop, just make sure you've got an internet connection. Data security is very important. And what I would say about this is most of these packages have very strong data security. They have annual audits. All of the data is encrypted. They use the same software that online banks use. So there's an unbreakable code on a lot of the software, and a lot of the software as well isn't just stored on one server, it's stored on multiple servers. So obviously hacking in this day and age, you know, anyone can be hacked, but because they save your data in various different servers, it's always going to be safe and you're always going to be able to access it. But I would just check that. I know, you know, a lot of the bigger software companies, they have very tight security. They have 24/7 security surveillance, and they probably pay people to try and get into the software to make sure that it is as tight as it can be. And I know that we do that here as well. We have IT consultants come in and try and access our data just to make sure that it is secure. GDPR, now this is the data protection law. Again, this is very important, just to make sure that whichever software that you do pick is GDPR compliant, because that does protect the privacy of your data. Just to make sure that it's all confidential and secure. So that's something that potentially you need to look at before making a decision. I just double check as well whether you can change providers quite easily. Most of the big accounting softwares you can. Normally you can just download your information into a CSV format. So it goes into a spreadsheet, and then whichever accounting software then that you want to move to, you can just upload your client information, your addresses, any previous data that you've got on your old system. So that's quite easy to do normally, but you know, you might want to check that that you're able to do that with the software that you move into and moving from. If you're a startup in business, some of these cloud accounting softwares can be expensive. So, you know, it is important that if you are looking at the software, that you pick the right one and you're able to grow with it as well. There are other pieces of software, if in the first year that you know you really think that the affordability is going to be tight, so you could continue to use something like a spreadsheet. And as I mentioned at the start, there is bridging software which will let the data in the spreadsheet talk to HMRC for when Making Tax Digital comes out. But I would recommend that, you know, once your business becomes established, that you start looking at one of these accounting packages, because they will make your life an awful lot easier. So what does accounting software include? So first of all, it's very important to set up your bank feed. So what that means is whichever bank you're with, you're able to connect your accounting package to your bank. So your bank statement will directly feed into your accounting system. So then what that does, that enables you to reconcile each invoice that you put into your accounting system with the transaction on your bank statement. So if you've raised a sales invoice and the money's come into the bank, the sales invoice will be on 0. So you'll have your bank statement on one side of the screen, your accounting entry on the other side, and with the accounting packages, they will best match your invoice to the bank transaction, and you'll have a little button on the side, click reconcile, and it's reconciled. So it's quite easy to use. Also, you can do your sales invoicing and quotes through a lot of these packages, and you can create quite a professional looking invoice in these packages. There are templates in there, and going back to my plumber, he had a template for my boiler service, and he was able to just pull that up, make sure the amount was right, and just email it to me. So that, and you can obviously get the pay facility on there as well, so that your customers can pay you straight away. They also let you know who owes you money. So providing you've got all your sales invoices on there, you get a little screenshot on the desktop that will show you you've got 14 invoices that haven't been paid. So then you can go into that and see which ones haven't been paid. It will also let you do a statement run as well at the end of the month, and you can email statements across to your customers. It also lets you know who you owe money to. So providing you've put all your invoices on there, at any given time, it'll tell you who you owe money to. But I will also suggest that when you get your statements in from your suppliers, just double check that you've actually had all the invoices from the suppliers, because sometimes it's quite often that you'll see an invoice in the statement that perhaps you haven't had. And obviously if you're VAT registered, then it's good to go back to the supplier to get the VAT invoice so that you can claim the VAT. And obviously they want to get paid that invoice as well. You can do your VAT return calculation in there. That's quite simple. So you set up whatever scheme you're on, if you're on the standard scheme or if you're on the flat rate scheme, and then the software will calculate the VAT for you. So you just need to go in and check the calculation, and then if you're happy with it, these softwares, then you can just submit to HMRC and it'll go straight through to HMRC for you. You can also do your payroll on these softwares. I think most of them do charge an extra £1 a month for each payroll, I think. But again, it's quite easy to do for your staff on these accounting softwares. You get an easy to read dashboard as well. And obviously you get your income and expenditure reports and your balance sheets as well. So these are the three main accounting softwares that we're partnered with: Intuit QuickBooks and Sage 1. and Xero. They're probably the biggest ones in the marketplace at the moment, and you've probably seen adverts on the TV or on the radio for them, because they obviously want you to use their package, and especially with Making Tax Digital now coming out in 2 years, they know that everybody is going to want to use one of these cloud-based accounting packages. There are obviously others on the market. I know a couple of people use Pandle, and that's quite a nice little accounting package, and FreshBooks. There are a few free ones out there as well. I think one of the banks, if you set up a bank account with them, they'll give you, I think it's a free agent. That's another one. And there's VT Cashbook, which is free as well. But obviously you get what you pay for. So, you know, it might be worth, if you're just starting out, doing one of the simple start packages on one of these bigger accounting packages, because they'll probably give you more facilities. I'm just trying to get the next slide. I would also say as well that a lot of these packages give you free trials. So if you are really unsure which one to use, I definitely try one of the free trials. I think they give you, some give 2 weeks, some give a month. Just remember to cancel the free trial at the end of it, so that you know you're not charged. But it's definitely worth playing around with some of them and see which one best suits your business, really. So is cloud-based accounting safe? I'm going to say it is pretty safe because all of your data is encrypted. It's in an unbreakable code, and it's, as I mentioned earlier, it's normally saved in 2 or 3 servers. For instance, Xero, it's saved, I think, in the US, and it's also saved on a server in New Zealand. They are pretty safe, and they have annual audit checks as well. So what I would say is 9 times out of 10, it's not down to the software being hacked. It's normally down to users not looking after their logins, or it's normally down to us pretty much if data is compromised. So I would say a lot of these packages now have 2-step entry authentication. So it's worth setting those up. I've set them up with my Xero. It's a bit of a pain because the code keeps coming to the office all the time. So whenever I'm trying to get in, I've got to contact the office for the code. But it's definitely worth doing because it does give you that extra layer of protection. So I've put an example of a dashboard there. This is for Xero, and this shows you just a little bit of a snapshot of what you get when you go into Xero. So it shows you your business bank account. It also shows you the invoices that are due to you. And you normally get as well, which I couldn't get on the slide, the invoices that you owe out as well. So if you notice there, you've got your bank account set up. You've got a balance in Xero, and you've also got a statement balance. So when those two are reconciled, so every entry is in Xero, all your invoices are in there, and you've reconciled your bank account, those two balances there will match. So you know that your Xero is up to date. It gives you a snapshot of who owes you invoices. So on this demo company, there's 14 awaiting payment. So you can see that and you can think, oh gosh, I've got to really chase my debtors now this week because I've got quite a lot outstanding. And then the same with who you owe money to as well. So it'll give you the outstanding amounts as well. So that's quite handy, I think, because you can just log on and see who owes you money. So I've put some prices here for Xero. So you've got a starter package here, which will get you going basically on Xero. So that they do half price for 6 months, I think it is. I don't know if you can see that. So it starts at £6 for the simple package. So if you're a startup, I definitely consider starting on one of these simple packages, because as your business grows, then you can always upgrade. And a lot of our clients are on the standard package now, the £13 a month. But what we do at Bevan and Buckland is, because we're partnered with a lot of these softwares, we get discounts. So we pass those on to our clients. What we do, we don't do half price or anything like that, but we set a price which is normally less than the standard price there, and we keep that the same throughout the period that you're on the software. So you know where you are, the price isn't going down or it's not going up. So you've got the prices there as well for QuickBooks. So it's pretty much the same. And again, you know, they both do the free trials as well. So I think I've covered as much as I was going to cover on cloud accounting. So I've just put our details of our new business kit in there as well. So this is quite a detailed kit for if you're just starting out and you're not quite sure how you want to structure your business. There's a lot of information in this new business kit. So it's downloadable. There's the website there, or it's on our Bevan and Buckland website as well. I think it's, if you go to the main menu on publications, it's in there. It's quite a hefty kit, so if you've got insomnia one night, then that's your place to go, really. Okay, so I'm available. I think I've covered everything that I was going to cover, so I'm available now for questions if anyone has any, and I'll open up the chat as well. Super,
thank you for that. That's really useful. I knew nothing about the subject matter going into this, and I feel far more informed now, so that's really super. Since you started, we've been joined by Janie. Janie, do you want to just quickly introduce yourself in terms of who you are, a little bit about your business? You're on mute.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
I can now, yep, go for it.
Hi, my name's Janie and I run a small business called Just Stay Wales. We do holiday lets for ourselves and we manage properties for clients. Started 4 years ago, and for the first couple of years we did our accounting on an Excel spreadsheet, which was all right in the beginning, but then it got a little bit onerous towards the end. And then last April we started to use Xero, and to be honest, it's a great piece of kit, but I still was trying to do the bookkeeping myself. So at the moment, I'm looking to outsource the bookkeeping side of things, just to make sure that we've got real-time information. Because as it stands at the moment, our Xero is only up to date till November. And obviously all the information in there is just gobbledygook, you know, P&Ls are not accurate. And obviously when I look back manually, I can see that we're spending money on perhaps what we shouldn't. So I just want to really tighten up the system and utilise what I'm paying for. But trying to find a good bookkeeper, I'm told, is quite a difficult
gold dust.
Yeah. So because we're revamping all our finances and the way we do things, I thought this is a great opportunity to log in here and have a bit of a pick up some really useful hints and tips going forward.
Great, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, has anyone got any specific questions resulting from that presentation, sort of things they want to delve into a little bit more? Janelle, anything?
Well, I wondered if any of these packages that that you're discussing have got cost center accounting facilities.
Yes, they do. So I think what you need to do is set up the departments in the software. So I know QuickBooks and Xero will have that facility. It takes a little bit of time at the start to set them up, but once they're set up, they're quite easy to use then.
Right. Okay. That's the main issue that limits which packages I can look at, because we're running a load of different projects and I've got to account for each of them separately. So I need a system that can do that. and generate reports for each of those projects separately, but also obviously give me consolidated accounts to report to our trustees. Which led to me choosing the package that we did choose. But I was interested just to see some of these others that you've got available.
Yeah, they'll both do that for you and allow you then to run a P&L on each cost centre.
Right. Okay. Oh, so it may well be worth bearing in mind for next April. I'll have to see how I get on for this year. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. I would say as well, there are very good YouTube tutorials as well out there on each of the accounting softwares that I've mentioned. We do offer training to our clients, but sometimes the YouTube videos, do the job really, and obviously they're free, so they are very very good, so worth looking out for.
I assume what you showed us on the dashboard, that was a web browser dashboard, was it, from the?
Yeah.
But I guess they've all got smartphone apps that sit alongside this as well, and I guess that's what your plumber uses when he comes around, is it, for the smartphone app?
Yeah, he does it on his phone. Yeah, on the QuickBooks
Okay.
app.
So you can generate invoices and the like directly from the smartphone app when
Yeah.
you're out on site, and that makes life presumably a lot easier and that sort of thing.
Definitely. If you're out and about, it's so much easier.
Yeah. The other thing I was going to ask was about obviously these linking with your business bank account. Will they link in with things like PayPal accounts as well if you've got that as a means of payment into your business?
Yes, they will, and Shopify.
Okay.
And I think they're starting to link up with Etsy as well. So
Okay.
I think there's that's coming out as well. So yeah, they do talk to all of these payment facilities. So they are very user friendly. Yeah. And obviously all the information then is downloaded. So.
Okay. And when you mentioned the bridging software that talks to Excel, to what extent has that Excel got to be in a format that the bridging software understands? Sort of, what are the limitations of that, do you think?
Well, at the moment, the bridging software we use, we're just using for VAT returns. So as long as you've got you've got the calculations in there with the totals, when you submit the VAT returns, then the bridging software will pick up the totals and put them into the VAT return, and then it gets submitted to HMRC. So I'm guessing it'll be something similar for the income and expenditure accounts when they come out. But I don't think they've released that software yet. I know that with the bridging software, I think it costs £1 a month. Okay. For the one that we use. So that's another thing to look at when the bridging software does get released. How much is that going to cost in comparison to using a cloud-based accounting system, really?
Yeah. Okay. It certainly sounds to me that the sooner you can get yourself solely onto this package, the easier it's going to make your life going forward. And certainly for startups, it's something they should be considering, albeit there is that cost attached to it. But the sooner the better, really, from what you're saying.
Yes, I think so. And because they've got the free trials, you can go in, you can play around with them and see which package suits your business, really, because everybody's different. If you asked the staff in the office here, half of them would say they prefer Xero and half of them would say they prefer QuickBooks. So it's sort of personal preference to which one that you like. And obviously it comes down to affordability as well.
Yeah, I won't ask you the question which your favourite one is then, because it's a matter of personal taste, I'm sure.
It is.
There we go. Anyone else with any questions?
Hello there. Can I just ask, you were talking about doing tax digital. Yeah. Is that in, you said 2024, is that VAT tax, or is that, because at the moment I do my accounts and just go to the accountant. Will I be able to do that in the future? Or when will that still be, could I still do my, I'm just thinking about whether it's worth going onto these packages or doing them in the same way and then just carry on as I am.
Okay, so your accountant does your VAT for you at the moment and your taxes?
Well, I'm not VAT registered.
Oh, right, okay, so they just do your taxes. Yeah. At the moment, it's just for VAT registered businesses until next month, and then everyone who's VAT registered will need to do it digitally. 2024 then, HMRC are expecting businesses to do a quarterly income and expenditure statement. So
Is that for VAT registered companies or?
no, that's for businesses with a turnover above £10,000. So potentially you could fall into that. Accountants are getting ready for this. So if you wanted your accountant to do it, it's worth discussing it with them. And I think many accountants, because they're going to be producing quarterly figures, they may look at how they invoice you. So perhaps instead of invoicing you annually, they might invoice you a smaller amount quarterly, so that it sort of spreads it out throughout the year rather than having one big accountancy fee at the end of the year. So it depends on how they're going to do it, really, and if you want them to continue to do it, or if you want to try and do it yourself through an accounting package like QuickBooks or Xero, or any of the free ones that are out there.
Okay, so if I did it through one of these accounts packages, then I wouldn't need an accountant. Is that what you're saying? Or because it's
to do it, then yes, you shouldn't need one, because they are Making Tax Digital compliant. So they will work out your tax for you. You've just got to be quite confident that what you're putting in there is accurate. So, for instance, you could. This is one of the reasons why HMRC have brought it out, because as taxpayers, they think that we make a lot of mistakes. There are a lot of errors, and I think they looked at the year 2018 to 2019, and they calculated that as taxpayers we underpaid tax by 8.5 billion because of mistakes. So and transposition errors, it's not just us claiming things that we shouldn't be claiming, it's transposition errors as well. So as long as you're confident that that all of your expenses you claim in are wholly and exclusively for business, then you should be able to use an accounting package. But obviously accountants come into their own, because they will let you know what expenses you can claim that ordinarily you might not think about. Things like use of home as office, but when you're working at home, you're doing the books in the house, you can claim £6 a week for that. A lot of small businesses don't claim that. Any mileage, basically how to maximise allowable expenses. That's where we can help out, really, as accountants.
Okay, yeah, that's great, thanks.
Can I ask a question, please?
Of course you can, yeah.
What I'm finding when I've started to look for bookkeepers, there's an awful lot of companies based all over the country that are offering online services, which sound really reasonable. And I'm just looking at the cost of everything and what I pay my accountant to submit the year-end accounts for 2 small businesses, plus the cost of getting somebody to do the books on Xero is starting to work out quite expensive. My accountant doesn't actually use Xero, so I guess, would your advice be to go with an accountant that can actually do your bookkeeping and all your financial sort of needs really in one place? Would that be more cost effective?
It might be. It's definitely worth considering. Do you know what your accountant uses at the moment? Do they use any cloud-based accounting packages?
No, basically up until now I've just been providing Excel spreadsheets with all my sales invoices, my purchases, my expenses, mileage, and stuff like that. And yes, he claims the allowance for the office. We've also got a small little payroll, so he does that as well, and claims of there's relief on national insurance. So I mean, he's great. The only thing is because he doesn't sort of work with Xero. And ideally, it would be nice to have somebody who could do the whole lot. Right,
okay. It does come down to, it will save you time having a cloud accounting package. Plus, a lot of your invoices, you can just if you've got the app, you can take a photo of them and they'll automatically be uploaded into Xero. Or if you've got a lot of invoices, you can scan them into another piece of software like Auto Entry, or Dext or something like that, and then you can just check that they've all come through and approve them, and then they can go straight into Xero or QuickBooks. So they do save you an awful lot of time. I don't know how you're doing it now, if you just sending them invoices, or, well, as you said, you put in everything into a spreadsheet, so that's quite time consuming.
Yeah, we've just closed our books for 1920 to 21. So now, from last April, we started to input everything into Xero. So our year end now is the 31st of March. So it'll be the first year really that I'll be providing the information on Xero to the accountant to submit the year end information. But what I'm finding is, because we're just so busy, I just do not have the time to keep on top with updating Xero all the time, hence why I want to get a bookkeeper. But the cost of having a bookkeeper, and a lot of the bookkeepers are saying that they'll do your year-end financial reports as well.
Yeah.
But sometimes, and I am just a little bit old-fashioned and a bit nervous dealing with companies that are not sort of local, that I could meet up if I needed to, if I was worried about anything, rather than doing everything online. And of course, with the data protection and all the security, it is quite, you know, you're putting a lot of trust in people that you don't know, other than virtual online. But I suppose that's the way of the world today, isn't it, as well?
It is, I'm afraid. It would be a lot easier for you if you did have an accountant who had some experience with Xero, because you can just invite them in and they can pull off the information that they need. And, you know, as you say, time is precious for you. So it does cut down on a lot of the, you know, the sending him information, because you could just go in there and gather the information that you need.
Anyway, okay, sorry, I just yeah, I think I am on the hunt for an accountant that does the whole lot, and it's all in one place, and it's just all streamlined and got the whole picture of everything. So I'll have to I'll go on your website as well and have a look to see what services that you're providing.
I'll put my email address back up. We do offer potential new clients a free initial meeting. So if you did want to get in contact, they are quite beneficial, our free meetings, and there's no obligation. And what normally we normally talk through the business, find out what you need, and then we send you a quote then. And again, there's no obligation whatsoever.
Okay, great, thank you.
Excellent, thank you for that. Any more before we wrap things up? We've got a few minutes left if we need to. I'll take that as a no. Super. Thank you very much for that. That's really useful. I say I've learned plenty, and a useful discussion at the end there. Just in terms of a few announcements, you'll see that in the chat box I've put a link to our business e-newsletter. If you're not already, I would very much strongly advise you to sign up to that. There's a number of reasons why, but the world of business support, business engagement is changing very, very quickly at the moment. And not least of all, around business funding. We're going to be launching 2 new grant schemes next week. But in general terms, the world of access to finance and business grant funding is changing literally on a weekly basis at the moment. So just to make sure that you're engaged with all the business support that's available to you, coming back to that point that I mentioned at the end, the business e-newsletter is by far the best way to hear about that. And indeed all the future sessions of this group that we're going to be running. So we'll be running a further one this time next month. I haven't got the subject details for you, but hopefully we'll have that in the next few days. As I say, this video will be on the YouTube channel probably Monday. So if you did miss anything, you'll have the opportunity to go back and watch that again. So once again, I'll thank Sarah for her participation and content of this session. Thank you all for coming along, and look forward to seeing you at a session again in the near future. Thanks all.